From the Audi Performance Studio, welcome to Pregame Central, presented by the United States Virgin Islands. Visit the U.S. Virgin Islands, where you will fall naturally in rhythm.
Jets football less than 2 hours away. Robert Saleh walking in to Dallas, and there's the man of the hour, Zach Wilson, taking over for Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. He has a tough matchup in his first start of the season, coming against a talented Cowboys defense that pitched a shutout last week. I'm Ethan Greenberg, joined by Quincy Enunwa here in Florham Park. Anthony Beck joins us virtually. We'll hear from him in a minute, as well as Caroline Hendershot and Eric Allen, both in Dallas. But fans, this is your chance right now to be involved in our show in Pregame Central. Go vote. All in or not today, the Jets will have more sacks and takeaways combined than the Dallas Cowboys. We'll revisit that later on in the show. But now it's time to talk Jets football. Quincy Enunwa, Anthony Beck, myself. Here's the deal, guys. This is the first time that the Jets will play a game without Aaron Rodgers in the 2023 season. Quincy, of course, Zach Wilson under center. What do you think of the way that he played last week, taking over for Rodgers?
Well, I think just considering the circumstances, he did really well, right? This game plan wasn't built for him. It was built for Aaron Rodgers. He had to go in and try to figure out what is the best way for me to win this game, knowing that I'm not built into these plays. I think he did a great job. It's tough as a young guy to come in and play behind Aaron Rodgers, knowing that there's so much hype, so much expectations, right? And you have to come in here and say, okay, it's my job now to be the guy. And I'm grateful that the guys around him really rallied around him and helped him kind of be the guy he needed to be for that game.
Taking a look right now at McCole Hardman warming up. He did not take an offensive snap last week, which is expected to change. Robert Saleh said that's basically the way the game unfolded. But Anthony Beck, Quincy just said that he was impressed by the way Zach played, given that the game plan was not suited for him. Well, can you talk about how difficult it is for a player, and specifically a quarterback, just to step in and play when the game plan isn't suited for you necessarily?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a skill set that when you look at what he's done, he has to be able to run this offense at a level that it can have a down-to-down, play-to-play success rate that's close to where they want to be. When you watch that game last week and you saw him step in, you just saw McCole Hardman, how he didn't play in the game. They went more 2-3 tight end sets. I mean, those are the things, again, he doesn't get a lot of those reps in practice, but when you can't put one of your playmakers on the field because of formation limitations, that's not really a recipe for success. So, again, you get that kind of pull back from the first game because he came off the bench. It is very difficult regardless of the situation. I think quarterback, you always have to have a heightened level of awareness because you are just one hit, one play away from being in there. Every other positional player is as well. When you talk about someone that has to be completely ready for that moment, the quarterback is the most important priority on the football field. So, again, I expect this offense to be a little bit more expanded for him. Clearly, it's not going to be all three tight end sets. It shouldn't be all three tight end sets because he's had now a week to really cater an offense around what he does, and that's got to show in this game. Don't put limitations on this young man.
We were taking a look at Breece Hall a second ago. That's Xavier Gipson, the Rookie of the Week, the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week, of course, with the walk-off touchdown that gave the Jets their first win of the season in overtime. And the Jets are on the road today, Quincy, but from a game planning perspective, when you're the starter versus you're the backup, just like Zach Wilson was last week as the backup now being the starter, how much of a difference does that really make now on the field, that you have the full week to go over with Nathaniel Hackett and all the different coaches what you want to do and what's best to perform against the Dallas defense?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier, saying, it's harder for a guy to come off the bench and go and play. I mean, we all say any given Sunday you should be expected to go out there and play no matter what happens because any play can put you out on the field. But I think it's so much easier when you're game planned into the game, right? It's easier when you know, okay, these plays are mine. I know exactly where I need to go on these plays. I mean, he should have been paying attention, obviously, and I think he did a good enough job to win the game. But now it's more so fit to him, right? There might be more rolling out. There might be more movement, whereas with Aaron Rodgers, a lot of that is just kind of freestyling. I'm hoping that they give him an opportunity to make some plays on the run because that's where he really excels, is when he's able to move the pocket and make those throws down the field. So, I think it'll be a lot easier for him knowing that.
Quincy, I'm curious from your perspective, being out at training camp throughout the course of the summer, with Zach Wilson I feel like, saw steps in the right direction where he seemed like an improved player from last season. What were specific things as a former player that you saw that gives you confidence that he can execute this offense today?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm not even looking at what he was doing on the field as much as what he was doing when he was in front of interviews. Just the presence he had, the poise he had in front of those interviews, the questions he was being asked. You could tell he really was humbled this past year, and he really carried himself more as a leader as opposed to maybe somebody that was a little bit younger and had a little bit more growing up to do. So I think that he's really ready, and he had Aaron Rodgers, a great mentor. I think back to my time having older guys in front of me that were great players. You know, that really helps you kind of grow up a lot faster when you have a veteran in front of you that knows exactly what to do.
Anthony, simply put, what do you expect from Zach Wilson today in his first start against a defense that can get after you in multiple different ways?
You know, it really comes down to his preparation. It's really up to Zach to really show us what he should be and what we expect him to be due to his preparation for the week. If he does his homework, if he takes that time to understand the potential dangers, the pitfalls, the weaknesses within the game, and where they may come, and anticipate those things, and then throw with anticipation. You know, when you're holding the ball and you get the ball out late, I think we saw a little bit of that early on in his career. You got guys now that can get open, can get space in between the defender and catching the football, and that's what you want. You got guys that can go up there and make plays. You have great backs around you. You have tight ends that you can dump the ball down. So there's a lot of options that are positive that can help the quarterback be successful. So when you look at what he's done, you'll always know how good a quarterback plays due to his preparation. And quite frankly, you know, he's got to show it on the field. You guys talked about practice, and I saw him in practice. Everybody has gushed about his growth in practice, what he's been as a player, and what Aaron Rodgers has done for him so far. But it is a small sample size as far as what he's shown or what he can be. Until he does it on the field, until he does it consistently, until he shows us that it's not preseason, it's an actual game, those are the things we want to say. So it goes back to the preparation. Quarterbacks always feel more comfortable when they feel like they have the answers to the test, and it's their job to dig and find those things during their preparation for the week.
Yeah, I'm certainly excited to see how it all plays out in a couple hours. But let's check in with some of our boots on the ground in Dallas. Caroline Hendershot. Caroline, we're just talking about Zach Wilson. From your perspective, being around the team all week, what is the confidence level the team has in number 2?
I'll tell you, Ethan, not only the team, but also Zach Wilson himself has a lot of confidence. When asked this week what his confidence level is like, he said, I truly believe in myself. I have that confidence because that's the first step in the NFL. When I spoke with his teammates, a lot of them said, I mean, you saw it in a lot of videos from Monday night, but a lot of them said, we have the utmost confidence in Zach. We're pushing him like he's pushing us the whole 9 yards. So the most important thing I think for today is that Zach just goes out there and remains calm. He plays his game. He does what he's supposed to do. Alan Lazard said it best. He said, just take it one step at a time. Go out there, play calm, play your game, and then we'll just see how it goes from there.
Awesome, Caroline. You know, just randomly here on Twitter yesterday, it seemed like there were a lot of Jets fans making their way to Dallas for this game in week 2. Do you get a sense that there's a big Jets fans contingency inside the building, or just a social media reaction so far?
Feel like they're just starting to file in now, and there's definitely some green pockets around AT&T. But what I will say is that on Twitter, I believe this morning, I saw a video of Fireman Ed cheering up a lot of Jets fans in the parking lot. So I'm excited to see the presence that they have in Dallas, and I'm looking forward to maybe hearing some Jets chants.
Awesome, Caroline. Appreciate the time. We'll check in with you in a little bit. Watching some of the fans there, you got a Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson couple. That's a great-looking jersey combination right there.
Smart couple right there.
Smart couple. So now it's time for the scramble drill. Let's bring back in Anthony Becht. We're going to put 2 minutes on the clock. You guys ready to go, Quincy?
Let's do it.
Anthony Becht, we're going to start with you. What is the biggest advantage for the Jets today?
I think it's the run game. You know, you look at Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, taking the pressure off the quarterback. That would be something that would stand out for me.
All right, Quincy, finish this sentence. The Cowboys cornerbacks, Trayvon Diggs, Stephon Gilmore, are a top blank tandem in the NFL.
I don't know. It really depends on how Stephon Gilmore does this year. But if he is Stephon Gilmore that we know, they're probably a top 3 corner group in the NFL.
Anthony Beck, will Garrett Wilson find the end zone for a second consecutive week?
I think he has to. He's one of the premier receivers in the league. He knows how to get separation. He can catch contested balls. And if Zach Wilson's smart, he's going to find him today.
Quincy, is Micah Parsons the best pass rusher the Jets will see all season?
He might be the best individual pass rusher, but the Jets have a heavy slate of pass rushers this whole year with the Eagles, Chiefs, Browns. So it'll be tough.
All right, Anthony Beck, Breece Hall or Dalvin Cook, who's going to find the end zone first over the course of the season?
Now, you think all my love goes to Breece Hall because of the Cyclone connection, but I'm going to say Dalvin Cook. Breece Hall gets the ball towards the end zone with his long runs, and it seems like he's going to be a little tired early in the season, so Dalvin Cook will come in and tote the rock.
All right, 1 minute left. Quincy, is Dallas's offense better on paper than it actually plays?
Oh, I think we're going to really find that out today because last week they weren't really tested. So we're going to see how the Dallas offense does against this Jets defense.
All right, 45 seconds, Anthony. The most important Jets defender today is who?
I'm going to say Quincy Williams. Now, here's a guy that really had a great performance last week, and that speed at linebacker, stopping the run, a speedy back in Pollard. It's going to be important for him to have a big game.
All right, Quincy, he might have just stolen your thunder, but which Jet impressed you the most in week one that maybe you didn't expect?
Well, actually, I'm going to stay on the defensive side and go Jordan Whitehead. I knew he was going to have a better year this year, but, man, he really exploded last week.
Anthony, what's the offensive formula for the Jets to be in this game late?
Balance, no turnovers. They do that, they're going to be in this game. They will be leading this game, and they'll win it.
All right, 5 seconds. Quincy, Dak Prescott, a top blank quarterback.
Oh, he's probably like top 10. He gets a lot of bad rapping in that market.
All right, that was great job. That was at the buzzer. Well done, guys. That was very good. We snuck it in there. We got all the questions in, but we're not done with questions because now it's time for fan questions. Matt Sitkoff, Tim Morgan, let's fire up our first question. Would you expect a similar game plan against Dallas, Anthony Beck, to avoid the pass rush with lots of running, short passes, or do you think that, Zach, with a week of practice, the offense will be more diverse? Anthony,
I think
where do you
Zach
go?
has a great opportunity to really get the ball and disperse it to multiple players. I think he has a lot of weapons, and I think for that fact, it will be a diverse. If he sees the field, his pre-snap read should give him someone every single play. And then if not, he can create with his legs like Quincy had mentioned earlier.
All right, let's fire up our second fan question. This one is for Quincy Williams. Or, just kidding, it's not because he's playing. It is for Quincy Enunwa. Will Breece Hall gain over 100 rushing yards today? Last week he had a $127 on 10 carries.
So the Dallas defense actually is like the bottom third last year in rushing defense. So I could see Breece Hall doing that again this week. If not him, then Dalvin. I think they're going to have a good running game this week. You know, with Zach Wilson kind of coming on his first week really starting, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets try to be a little bit more run heavy.
And if we did ask Quincy Williams, I think he would say Breece would have over 100 rushing yards. Here's the thing with Dallas's defense. It's a great point what you just said. 129.3 rushing yards per game they allowed last season, but they only allowed 9 total touchdowns over the course of the entire season. So let's fire up our third question. Anthony Beck, this one is for you. How can the Jets generate more targets for Garrett Wilson, who we were just watching warming up?
Throw him the ball. I mean, he gets open. I think the one thing we saw were missed opportunities last year for Zach. Again, it's understanding what you're doing, understanding the play, the read, pre-snap. And then when in doubt, throw him the football. I mean, he can catch the ball. He can reach out. He's got speed. He gets separation. He's a one receiver in this league. You got to get him the targets, regardless if you think he's open or not. If he's leaving, if he's even, he's leaving, right?
Yes,
Quincy,
sir.
that's
the
how
one.
it is.
That's the one.
You got to throw the ball down the field to him.
All right, and Garrett Wilson, remember, only had 4 touchdowns last year. His first touchdown with Zach Wilson was last week against the Buffalo Bills. Just an incredible play. We'll see what today has in store for him. Let's fire up our next question. Quincy, do you expect the Jets to bring in a veteran quarterback to back up Zach Wilson? Now, Tim Boyle was signed to the active roster from the practice squad. The Jets made a number of moves, which we'll dive into. But do you expect the Jets to bring in a veteran backup?
It will be tough because the backup would have to know that he's not going to be the starter. So I don't know many backups that really want to get into that situation. I would say let Zach run it out and let's see what he does. Tim Boyle knows the offense already. To bring somebody else in here, it might be a little bit of a challenge to kind of figure out how to run this offense.
All right, we appreciate all fans who submitted their questions. Be on the lookout for that once in a while on my Twitter, Quincy's Twitter, Anthony Beck's Twitter, EA's Twitter. Just search on Twitter. And speaking of EA, let's actually go back to Dallas. Let's catch our breath here in studio. EA, earlier this week, Robert Saleh was talking about how everyone has the Jets season written off. After speaking with him and a number of players, what do they say about where their season stands after just 1 week?
Greens, Robert Saleh is awfully confident in this team. There are 52 other players on the active roster other than Aaron Rodgers. We saw what they can do last week against the Buffalo Bills. They were left for dead at halftime of Monday night's game, spotting the Bills a 13-3 lead. In that kind of situation, with the Jets down by 10 points exactly at halftime, they had been 3-42. Obviously, they come back and they win the ball game in overtime on Xavier Gibson's thrilling punt return. I talked to DJ Reed in the locker room this week. DJ said that, hey, listen, way to describe the 2023 Jets. It's a gritty team. It's resilient. I also talked to Quentin Jefferson, a guy who had 2 of the 5 sacks for the Jets Monday night against the Buffalo Bills, and Quentin told me, hey, listen, from a defensive perspective, we feel like if they don't score, we're going to have an opportunity to be in every game. And the Jets have full confidence in this group moving ahead, starting today against the Dallas Cowboys.
And remember, EA, the Dallas score last week might be 40-0, but the Cowboys scored on defense, they scored on special teams. But for the Jets today, speaking of defense and special teams, Greg Zuerlein is out today. How big of a miss is that for the Jets, per se, and who's taking his spot in the lineup?
Well, you're right. Z obviously made the 3 field goals against the Buffalo Bills on Monday night. He's dealing with the groin injury. He didn't make the trip with the team. He's not going to play today. The Jets signed Austin Seibert. He's standing next to me right now on the sideline. 44 of 55 throughout his career in the National Football League. Also went to college in Oklahoma, so he's used to playing in Texas. And finally, I want to give my condolences out to Anthony Beck. Iowa State was jobbed yesterday.
All right, EA, thank you very much. It's actually time to bring everybody in for X Factors right after you enter for your chance to win an Eagles-Jets game day experience plus a 1-year subscription to Paramount Plus. All eligible entrants will receive a 1-month free trial of Paramount Plus. To enter, text Paramount to 26154. Terms do apply. So let's bring everyone in for our X Factors. Let's fire up the graphic. This is awesome that we have 2 people in Dallas. We got 1 in Florida. We got 2 in Florham Park. We're talking Jets Cowboys. Quincy, let's start with you. Your X Factor for Jets Cowboys Week 2 is who?
Yeah, so we briefly spoke about it a little bit with the run game. I think my X factor for this week will be the run game. The Jets offense last week did so well in the run, and the Cowboys defense does not do so well against the run. So it'd be a perfect combination there. On the other side of the ball, you also want to see how the Cowboys do in the run game now that they've lost, their running back that went to the Patriots now.
Ezekiel Elliott.
Ezekiel Elliott, thank you. I don't know why the name left.
He's not relevant.
Right?
That's why you forgot the name.
Exactly. So I want to see how the run game does this week.
Okay, so and to your point, Breece Hall, like we discussed, 127 rushing yards last week. Dalvin Cook only had 33. We'll see how the split gets divided because Dalvin Cook did outrush Breece Hall in terms of just volume, in terms of carries. He had 13. Breece Hall had 10. Anthony Beck, your X factor is who or what?
Yeah, Greg the Leg would have been nice to have yesterday for sure. And some questions on whether kicks were made or not. But with that being said, I'm going to say Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, listen, this is why Nathaniel Hackett was brought here. You don't have Aaron Rodgers on the field. Okay, this is where you truly become a coordinator. This is where you have to have that play selection set up so that your quarterback is really playing at a level and getting him into a nice zone early in this football game, and also just delegating that time with the running backs. Again, all these things allowing this team to really function appropriately and not just saying, okay, we're going to go 3 tight ends and just hodgepodge this up. I mean, you got too many weapons to do that. Mecole Hardman has to be on the field. Playmakers have to be on the field for this team to win. Defense is good, but Nathaniel Hackett has to call a good game, not just today, but moving forward with Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the game plan looks on the field in just a couple hours. Caroline, your X factor is who?
I'm going to go with Quinnen Williams. I know, obviously, all eyes are on him this season after his big payout this offseason. But last game, he got the tackle for loss. He got the quarterback hit. He got the fumble recovery, but he didn't get the sack. So I want to see him line up against Zach Martin, who has been struggling with an injury to his groin this week and was limited in practices. I want to see him line up against Zach Martin and really show everyone why he got paid.
And there's a chance Quinnen Williams could line up against former Jet and former teammate of Quincy Enunwa, Chuma Adoga at left guard. EA, where are you going for your X factor?
Well, we all know the Jets have one of the top cornerback tandems in the National Football League with Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, but I'm going to take one of the top nickels in this NFL. That's Michael Carter II going against CeeDee Lamb. Last year for the Cowboys, Lamb had more than 1,300 yards receiving. Interesting, in week 1 against the Giants, 29 of his 43 offensive snaps, they came inside. So watch that matchup. And also a favorable thing for the Jets today, Brandon Cooks out of the lineup for the Cowboys. Let's see if the Jets can get after Dak Prescott late. Last year, 15 interceptions in 12 games, 5 games, multiple interceptions.
Yeah, both of those led the NFL. Most interceptions for an NFL quarterback, most multi-interception games, Dak Prescott. And it's a great point because Sauce Gardner hasn't taken a lot of snaps in the slot. I'm interested to see maybe they decide to move him. We've seen Sauce move a little bit with tight ends mostly, though. And for my X factor, I'm going to go with special teams. EA, you talked about it, about Greg the Leg being out, Austin Seibert being in, Xavier Gibson, we were taking a look at him. Now we're taking a look at Justin Hardy. If the Jets want to be in this game and they're in a hostile environment in Dallas, first game on the road, it's going to come down to defense and special teams, and perhaps the Jets will get a spark one way or another from that group. And I'm interested to see how it all shakes out, which brings us to the end of our X Factor. And that brings us to the beginning of All In or Not today. And I assume that there are some people, both whose names start with E, who are very thankful that they're 1-0. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 others who want something to say. And I'm looking at Quincy Enunwa right now, smiling in studio, and Becht has his hands up. So, Quincy, let's start with you. What do you want? What grief do you want to get off here?
All I want to say is there was a sports book that took away the bets for stuff like this, and I'm open to us trying it out.
And Becht, are you echoing those sentiments?
No, it's funny. I saw somebody's Instagram today posting all this chatter about how good they were picking things last year.
Oh, no.
Lo and behold, 0-1. What have you done for me lately, Quincy?
Beck said, look, I'm going down, but I'm bringing you with me.
Absolutely.
EA, where do you stand on this? I know you have something to say.
Caroline and myself were talking about this on the bus ride over. Quincy, you have no shame. You won last year. You guys got to take your loss in the opening week, right, Caroline?
Yeah, I mean, I was also a part of that loss, and it hurts. It hurts. I get it.
I'll take it.
Okay, and you know what? All I'll say about the sports books is that there were some sports books that did not refund.
That's
so
a
it's
fact.
a 50-50
That's
split.
a fact.
Quincy's just providing half of the information here. EA and I want to know the rest of everybody, including the fans, 0-1. Anthony Becht, we'll start with you, okay? The Jets will combine to have more sacks and takeaways than the Dallas Cowboys.
Even I'm playing into week 2 with that asterisk, guys. I'll take that asterisk from week 1, but I'm going to be all in on this one. The defense has the pressure on them. They're the ones that want it. They were asking for it. They want to be the best. If they want to be the best defense, they need to lead in both of these categories. I'm all in.
All right, Quincy, where do you stand?
I'm going all in as well. I think that on the offensive side, there's a good chance they're going to be running the ball a little bit more, which will decrease the opportunity for turnovers.
Caroline, all in or not today, the Jets will combine to have more sacks and takeaways than the Cowboys.
I'm all in. I feel like the defense has welcomed that pressure, per se, of performing at like a top level all offseason, and now's really the time to put it on display. So I'm all in. I'm excited to see them play today.
Caroline, are you, just out of curiosity, have you ever gone not today? Like, just genuine. Can you remember a time you've gone not today?
No, I can't, first of all. That was rude. Second of all, I think I did go not today maybe once, and I lost. So it doesn't really matter what I do. I think I'm just cursed.
That's right. And you know what? We'll see how it plays out. But looking at the order of the way it was going, EA, I'm sorry, you're batting, or you're the anchor here. I'm up next. I'm going not today. I'm throwing the monkey wrench in here. Look, the Jets had 5 sacks last week. The Cowboys had 7. The Jets had multiple turnovers. So did the Cowboys. Somebody's got to go not today. It says all in on the screen. I am not today, which just was changed right now. So we got 3 all in. We got 1 not today. EA, are you staying with me like last week, or are you going all in?
This is where the break occurs. I'm going all in. The New York Jets last week, 5 sacks of Josh Allen, 4 takeaways. How about Jordan Whitehead? I'm jealous. Guy comes up with 3 interceptions, hits a roster bonus last week of $250,000. He was walking around with a lot of change in his pockets this week. I'm all in because I think this is going to be a close game. And while Micah Parsons might be the best pass rusher in the National Football League, the Jets have the best defensive line, and I gave you those Dak Prescott numbers. I think the Jets are going to get some takeaways late in this game.
All right, well, I'm the only one not today. Are the fans going to stay with me, or are they going to go all in? And no, they're saying all in. 77.4% of Jets fans are all in that the Jets will combine for more sacks and takeaways than the Dallas Cowboys, whereas I'm the only one that's not today. So you think I'm just somebody's gonna? I have a good chance to be like 2-0 and get ahead of everybody.
Listen, last year I felt that same way you feel right now, where you have that winning streak. Even though it's just 1 win for you, you feel good and you're confident in your pick, and you should be. But just know we're on your heels.
Well, we got the champ from last year here, off to a slow start. We'll see how it all shakes out. Anthony Beck, let me ask you this: as the Jets prepare for kickoff, just over an hour and a half away, what's one aspect of the game that we have not spoken about that we should be paying a little bit more attention to, whether that be a specific player or just an aspect of the game?
I think the aspect of the game is what the Dallas Cowboys offense will look like. I think it was really easy against the Giants when you're blocking kicks, running back for touchdowns, interceptions, short field, the weather, not a lot of pressure for you to really do much. I think it was 26 or 7-0 in the first half. So, look, at home, little pressure. You're playing against arguably the best defense in the NFL. What will this McCarthy play calling offense look like? And can Dak have success in it? So, listen, we don't know what that's going to look like. And I think the Jets have the upper hand here on taking advantage of that in this game.
All right, let's go back down to Dallas before we wrap up here in Florham Park. Let's head down to the field to EA. EA, today's inactives. The floor is all yours.
Greens, Israel Abanikanda, I should say, Jason Brownlee, Max Mitchell, Zaire Barnes, Bryce Hall, Greg Zuerlein, of course, and then finally Will McDonald. A lot of people at home are going to ask, why is Will McDonald inactive today? Carl Lawson going to make his season debut. Remember, he missed action against the Bills, coming back from the back injury.
Yeah, it's a great point, EA. Thanks a lot from everything that you and Caroline had to offer to the show from Dallas. It's a great point he just made about Will McDonald. Carl Lawson coming back to the lineup. Kickoff just over an hour and a half, or just under an hour and a half away at this point. Jets Cowboys, week 2. Don't go anywhere. Make sure to watch the game, and we'll be right back here in the studio for Jets Overtime.